This Late Night Linux Family podcast is made possible by our patrons. Go to latenightlinux.com/support for details of how you can join them. Support us on Patreon for access to ad-free episodes and early releases. That's latenightlinux.com/support. Hello and welcome to episode 368 of Late Night Linux, recorded on the 12th of January 2026. I'm Joe, and with me are Félim.
My pump is not heating.
Graham.
Good evening.
And Will.
Hello.
We don't care about your heat pump, Félim.
Well, if I don't talk after a while, it's because my mouth is solid frozen together, that's why.
I'm sure some people will be delighted for that.
Probably.
Right, let's get into some news. And the first one, it's such a non-story. The Steam Machine's price might have just leaked, and it's not what we hoped for. So some website in the Czech Republic had a listing for the Steam Machine, and there was no price, but in the view source or whatever, there was a price there. But they're a reseller, and we don't know, is tax included, is it not, import duties, blah, blah, blah. And people are saying, oh, so therefore that means it's going to be $1,000. Like, I'm not having it. This is just a non-story to me.
The prices sound what I would have expected them to be around. Secretly, I would have hoped that they were less than that. But if you think about the market they're going for, which is to be powerful enough to run, I think it's 70% of the Steam catalog, then you're looking at what is effectively an entry-level PC in today's money. And those cost about, depending on how much RAM you have in it, between $500 to $1,000. So I can't really see that even buying in bulk, they can get the price much lower than that. A PlayStation 5 is coming in at around the $500 to $600 range, I think. And, you know, they're buying, I don't know, millions and millions of these things years and years in advance. I can't see how Steam can expect to come in a lot cheaper than you could build a PC for. And so the price sounds accurate to me.
But what price? Like, it's just all speculation. Like, some people reckon it's about 1,000. Some people say, oh, maybe it's 750, or, you know, it just, we don't have a price.
The one thing I saw on that was the fact that that Czech place does have the Steam Deck OLED, but they have it for about $100 more than it was being sold by Steam. So I'm not sure they're even a very reliable way to price things up anyway.
Well, yeah, people on Reddit were doing the maths, weren't they? Right, so this is $100 more, that's this percent. Therefore, we take this price and minus this. And, you know, it's just bullshit at the end of the day. Like, we have no idea yet what this price is going to be.
Do you know what it is, though? It's a great way to generate news.
It is, yeah.
Both for Valve and for this Czech site who, you know, they're in the EU. I might look to buy stuff from them now.
Maybe, yeah. And we even had the same thing with the Steam Frame, the VR headset. You know, if you do a search for Steam Frame price leak, you just get a bunch of gawping thumbnails on YouTube, people pointing at shit. And what are they saying? Oh, well, we think we might possibly have a price. We just don't have one yet. So let's not get too excited, is what I'm saying.
It's a good indication of anticipation, though, the amount of anticipation there is for these devices.
Yeah, everyone's excited. I mean, I'm excited for the frame, not for playing games on it and not for what you think, but for just having a giant cinema. Like
guitar tutorials, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, good.
No, when the Vision Pro came out, the Apple thing, and they showed all these demos of it, the one thing that really appealed to me was sitting in a massive private cinema to myself with, you know, a massive like IMAX screen, but being able to do that in the comfort of my own home and being able to pause it and go for a piss. That sounds fucking excellent to me.
You are such an antisocial bastard that could you not find on your ambling walks at 4 o'clock in the morning some 24-hour cinema that you can go in and get like the cheapest cinema ticket ever?
No, because they won't pause it, will they? No, I like the comfort of my own home. And, you know, it's fine having a big telly or whatever, but just something about that really appeals to me. But anyway, yes, it is very exciting, and I'm sure we'll get pricing soon. But part of that Steam Frame is the fact that it is ARM-based, running Linux. And so Valve have been funding this project FEX, which is the translation layer. So it's got Proton to make the Windows games run on Linux, and then FEX to make the x86 games run on ARM. Well, Canonical have started building this snap, this Steam snap, including the FEX thing for ARM64. This seems quite exciting, potentially very easy way to get x86 games running on ARM Linux on other platforms.
According to the article, people have had success running Cyberpunk 2077 on this thing. I bought that game and I had to buy another 16 gig of RAM so that it wouldn't shit out my PC. So, and you know, that thing's an AMD with, I don't know, 12 cores or something, running at 3.5 gigahertz. It's beefy. Now, who knows what the graphics is going to look like, but I imagine it's generally the same. But I mean, that's an extraordinary achievement. I know it's instructions, but nevertheless, I think it's amazing that this works.
It is amazing. It's a technological marvel, but then so was Proton, wasn't it?
Mm.
I mean, arguably not. It was iterative, really, based on Wine and all the rest of it. But to get big games that are only available for Windows to run on Linux, sometimes better than on Windows, that is a technological marvel to me. And so it seems that Valve knows the right people to go to and to pay to get this shit done. Well, speaking of Steam, they've revised their survey numbers for December, and they are putting Linux market share for Steam at 3.58%, which is modest, let's face it, but that is the best it's ever been, which suggests to me that Linux gaming is growing.
And that's a lot. I mean, Jesus, that is a lot. And what I thought was interesting, right, there was apparently a dip in AMD processors. So that means it's not Steam Decks, and therefore it's possibly Windows 11 people hacked off with their machines, maybe? Ones that couldn't make it to the Windows 11, so Intel boxes? I don't know.
I don't think there's many people gaming on like 7th gen and older Intel, is there? Maybe there are, I don't know.
You still have decent machines. That's why it's farcical, that whole Windows 11 cutoff. It's like, the boxes are still fine. I mean, graphics card is where it's really at, isn't it?
I suppose, especially if it's for slightly older games or whatever, yeah.
So do I understand correctly, the Linux number on Steam survey probably includes Steam Decks?
Almost certainly.
Okay.
Given that Arch Linux is the most popular one, that is, I assume, what SteamOS is reporting as.
Mm. It's interesting that Ubuntu, the LTS of Ubuntu, has got like half the Arch install.
Yeah, but then Ubuntu Core is almost the same.
Mm.
Is that the snap, maybe, of Steam?
Yeah, I think it must be. And that's quite a big increase. If you look at the increases on the other distros, like Arch 0.02, Mint 0.04, and the Ubuntu Core is up 0.12. So that's quite a significant increase. I mean, that's a third of the overall increase in Linux machines for that period. So that's a pretty big uptick.
Yeah, that's got to be the snap, surely.
Yeah, it has to be the snap. There's no other way of doing it.
Which means that Ubuntu is probably about the same as Arch, but then the snap could be running on other distros, but then do people running other distros actually use snap? Probably not.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, when you combine the Ubuntu figures, it's close as makes no difference, the same.
Well, either way, I think it's looking good for Linux, is the bottom line. The details of it almost don't matter, really. As long as the line go up, that's all we care about. Interesting that GeForce Now is coming to Linux. They're going to make a native application for Linux. Sounds like Ubuntu, but we'll have to see exactly how that's packaged. This is NVIDIA's game streaming service. It's also coming to Fire TVs as well. But that, to me, says that NVIDIA sees Linux as a platform that's worth targeting and supporting. It's a vote of confidence from them.
You'd wonder, is it more than a wrapper around a Chrome window, though, would you?
Well, does that even matter, though?
No, but yeah, I mean, it's great they did it, but it must have been fairly easy for them to add Linux.
Right, but not everyone does that. Not every company does it.
Or there's some beef that NVIDIA's got with Gabe.
Who knows?
The Steam Deck graphics card is a AMD graphics card, is it not? Oh, there we go.
I mean, I really like the idea. I'm glad they're doing it. I use Moonlight for streaming games, and it's proven quite useful for me. So I'm glad there are going to be more options.
I seem a bit skeptical that a FPS or a flight sim that they seem to be really pitching about would work to a data center. I mean, maybe it would, but certainly not on my upload speeds. But yeah.
Yeah, but it's not about your upload speeds, is it? It's about the latency.
Yeah, but have they enough sites around the world for it, though?
I'm sure they've got one in Dublin. It'll be grand.
Mm-hmm. Not so sure.
I've played some games off my dodgy broadband connection while I've been traveling. And, okay, not FPSs, but it's worked. It's been okay, depending on the game.
Okay.
What, Lee Carvalho's putting challenge? There's been a very interesting graph that has been going around, and that is from data.stackexchange.com. And it is about the number of questions submitted to Stack Overflow over the years, going back to, about 2008. And it's basically a sort of N shape, isn't it? It goes up as the site gets more popular, sort of stabilizes for a bit, and then curiously, around sort of 2021-ish, it just falls off a cliff to the point where there are very, very few people asking questions anymore. What could possibly be the explanation for this?
Everybody has learned everything and they don't need to do any more questions.
Right, yeah. Yeah, there's such a wealth of questions there already that people are searching for what their question would be and finding an answer already and not needing to submit a new one, right? Yeah. Case closed.
I think so.
What we're looking at here is a terrible future for LLMs because there's nothing new for them to learn when it comes to technical stuff.
I have exactly that written on my notes for the show. I was gleefully happy when I saw this.
Well, that's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is they're only learning on other slop output and they're just going to be less and less accurate going forward.
Well, that was my other thing. Yeah, I'm all for that.
But then won't people start asking questions again on Stack Overflow? Isn't that how it would work?
In theory.
Do we get meta sites reviewing the questions of LLM-generated answers?
I am saddened by this drop-off because I think that for a very long time, Stack Overflow has provided a really valuable service to a lot of people. But to shill for AI just for a moment, this does mean that there are 200,000 questions being asked of, I assume, an LLM now, where people are not being called idiots and people are not being told that their question is stupid and people are not being told to read the fucking manual, and they're actually getting a straightforward answer in good language with a lot of the mistakes missing. And then they can copy and paste that random crap into their app and probably it will work. So it is very sad to see Stack Overflow presumably struggling in this way. And I think Graham's right. I think that people will come back to it once they have new stuff that they need to know from other people. But for the vast majority of people, I think that LLMs are probably providing a better service.
Félim, whose turn is it to hold him? Whose turn is it to hit him?
I don't care. I'm good for both.
I will willingly admit, however, that the amount of power being used to answer 200,000 questions of largely the same thing over and over again, rather than pointing at some static content hosted in RAM somewhere, is quite wasteful.
Indeed. And that's not to even get into the questions of whether it's correct or not.
It isn't. Just to answer that.
But it is though, isn't it?
Well, I was talking about this with someone today. I think that the likes of me and Félim got it wrong when trying to argue against the use of LLMs by saying that they are shit and not good at what they do. We focused on the wrong thing. We should have focused on the ethics of it and not the quality of it.
Well, I think what LLMs are really good at is convincing you that they are right, not when they are actually right. And I think that's the problem.
Well, I still think that sometimes they can be very useful. They can, when used in a correct way, give you correct information, sometimes or even often.
As long as it's checkable and as long as you check it. But at that point, what's the point?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. We should not be getting bogged down in this. We should be focusing on the energy use, the water use.
100%.
The training data, the ethics of that, the ethics of brain drain, the ethics of putting people out of work, all the rest of it. That's what we should be concentrating on, not whether they're any good or not.
I'm prepared to concentrate on all of those things.
Fair enough. I just think that it is subjective whether they're good or not. people can argue that they are good at what they do, but you cannot argue about the ethics of it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So that's what we should have concentrated on. And we failed to do that. And now they're fucking everywhere.
It's all our fault. Fuck. There we go.
It is. It's literally the two of us' fault. Félim.
Yeah.
We are 100% to blame for this shit.
It's okay, Sam. Carry on. It's on me this time.
Something that is so trivial, I think, is an argument that's been going on over the last couple of weeks about there's this Gnome dev who wants to get rid of middle click paste in Gnome and in Firefox. And the argument is that most people don't use middle click paste, and if they do, it's accidentally and confusing.
Most people don't use the various French characters that they have in their alphabet, but, I don't think we should get rid of those either.
Actually, maybe we should.
Okay, yeah, that is a fair point. I realised the minute I started it, how wrong I was.
I think maybe we should.
Sacre bleu. Anyway, honestly, it is one of the most useful features, because if you are in SSH terminal in one window and you're dumping a config out to another and you don't have ability to SCP it, if you copy and paste it into your file and then you go, shit, I need to copy the same file path, you can still have the buffer of your copy paste with the file contents, and then you can highlight it in one fucking window and then middle click it in the other, and you get the same path printed out because you have two fucking buffers you can use. And quite honestly, fuck that developer. Arsehole. They're so wrong.
I largely agree, but two things. One is, I think this is a little bit who moved my cheese. Like, it's always worked this way. Maybe fresh people coming to it are not expecting it, and it is a bit weird and unpredictable. And secondly, the bug that was logged does say by default. It's not like getting rid of it forever. It is by default.
Exactly.
So you can turn it back on.
Oh, yeah, because Gnome will have an option. Oh, wait, they won't.
Well, they're talking about having an option in Gnome tweaks.
No, they'll take it out of that too, out of spite.
Well, I think that there is an argument to be said that once something stops being default, that is kind of setting it on a path to being deprecated. And, this Gnome PR has been merged, so it's happening.
Of course it is. It's Gnome. What do you expect?
Well, yeah.
If you like features and enjoy using them, forget about it.
But I think as long as it's still an option, I honestly think that it probably oughtn't to be the default.
Why don't they just educate people to it? It's such a fucking handy feature. Have you ever tried to use copy and paste on a Windows box with putty? It's painful. I can't believe it still is as bad as it is. Or the highlight thing where you highlight like a fucking block. It's like, oh, well, hang on a sec. Let's cut the arse off the sentence. Fucking magic. No, this is so fucking handy. Just educate people about it.
Graham, you are old school Linux. What do you think?
What are they proposing they use it instead of paste? It's a horrible button to press most of the time.
Well, certainly in Firefox, auto scroll, which is what I use.
Auto scroll. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Use your fucking wheel.
No.
Oh,
click and then drag the mouse down. It's so much easier than
Are you a fucking weatherman or a TV presenter with your fucking auto cue? I can just scroll my web pages.
No, it's not that, is it? I don't know why it's called auto scroll, but you click in Firefox.
Yeah.
And then you get this arrow up and down, and then you can drag the mouse up and down to scroll up and down.
No, I don't.
I suppose it's called auto scroll because if you pull the mouse down a touch and leave it, then it just auto scrolls down. But then you can pull down more and it's really fast. It's one of the best features of Firefox, and that was turned off by default ages ago, and I always turn it back on by default.
I think I'm going to go with Félim. I think it needs to
Good
stay.
man.
Unfortunately, I don't use it anymore because I use tmux and I use copy and paste between tmux buffers to get out of those situations.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I do remember when I discovered it, and when other people see me using it on Linux, it feels like a superpower. After all of that clunky, horrible copy and paste dance that you have to do on everything else. And I think for new users of Linux, discovering that they can just select something and paste it immediately into something else is a superpower. So Félim gets my vote.
Who remembers when we were positive about Google releasing the source code for Android and we said, it's going to be fine? Yeah, not so much. Now they're only going to release the source code twice a year. So yeah, great. Although they are going to release the security updates more frequently. But this does feel like the kind of pessimistic side of what we had said the time before the last, where it's looking like they're going to just eventually close it all down. I mean, I saw someone, I think it was Danielle Foray, who said, like, why even be open source at that point? Like, if you're just going to dump your code twice a year, it's like, that's not how open source is supposed to work.
I think they're waiting for us all to die, and then they will just not release anything.
I don't know, though, because there are quite a lot of young people who are involved with Android development, you know, custom ROMs and everything.
When you say quite a lot, do you mean 6?
No. I mean, look at the XDA forums. I mean, I don't want to, like, start stereotyping, but in non-Western countries, it seems to be bigger than it is in Western countries. Like India, for example, it's a massive scene over there. So, you know, I think there are a bunch of young people who are into this, and it is going to, it's funny to say that, Graham, you know, wait for all us old people to die. But, like, I think there are young people into this. So I don't think they're going to get away with that.
Mm.
Well, I mean, they are going to get away with it because they'll just shut it down, you know, close it down, and then everyone can just get fucked. And people are not going to stop buying Android phones because the only alternative is the Fisher-Price iPhone. Don't at me.
I was a bit shruggy about this one, to be honest. So many other things in FOSS World are twice a year. Is that biannual? I never quite know what biannual actually means. Is that every 2 years or twice a year or both?
Now, hang on. I saw this argument, oh, well, Ubuntu releases twice a year, but they don't release the source code twice a year. It's developed in the open. You can go right now and get all the source code for Ubuntu 26.04, whatever the latest snapshot or daily build is or whatever. It's all there in the open. That is not the same thing as what we're talking about here.
What about Red Hat?
Well, I remember dedicating a whole fucking episode to their source code rug pull. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
So I'm not having this like this is standard. This is not standard for open source.
I gave up on Google so long ago that I'm not shocked by this. I don't know why you are, but yeah.
I'm not shocked by it. I'm disappointed.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
The writing on this particular wall has been there for a long time, and it keeps getting clearer and clearer that they are locking down the platform, and at some point you are not going to be able to run a recent version of Android that is completely open source and Googleless like you do, Félim.
Yeah, I mean, ideally I would love to get a non-Android based system of some sort, and I don't care what it is at this point. So, well, obviously not macOS, whatever, but yeah, whether that is a Fosh type thing or what, I'm not sure, but there's got to be something better than this.
Yola phone for you then.
Don't encourage him, and him knows who him is.
He knows exactly who he is, yes. But he is literally screaming that right now.
I know.
So we know, Adam, we know. All right, a bit of sort of good news. Bose, who makes fancy speakers, they end-of-lifed some of their speakers recently, towards the end of last year. People said, open source it. And so they have open sourced the API at least. They've not properly open sourced all the app and everything, but at least it's better than nothing. And I think that it is worth acknowledging that. I think it's worth acknowledging that Bose did kind of do the right thing somewhat.
They also said that they were going to shut down the ability to connect to it with Spotify Connect, which I assume is some sort of cloud-based thing that allows you to control Spotify from your phone and have it play out of your speaker. And originally that was going to go away, and they have now said that they're not going to make that go away. So if you do use this thing with Spotify from your phone, it will continue working. And I suspect that that is a sort of saved this speaker thing from e-waste for the vast majority of users.
I mean, usually when we see this sort of thing, the community steps in and reverse engineers it. And in this case, reverse engineering the other stuff is surely now going to be easier that they've open sourced the API.
I have had a look at the API. It's not terribly detailed, but I did notice one interesting feature, which is that you can query the device for its current base and the maximum and minimum levels for the base, which means you can ask the speaker, base, how low can you go?
Yeah. Excellent. Suddenly reminded of playing Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
I think this is genius. I think this actually should be a electronic product law or of some kind where, you know, you don't have to open the apps up, whatever. You might have magic sauce if you've paid for it, but an API should always be opened if it isn't open to start with, because I am looking at this new heat pump for the house. It's just a weird thing, and it uses some Mitsubishi fucking cloud-based bollocks, which, you know, I have questions for the people who are installing it. It's like, well, what happens if there's no internet connection that day? What happens if Mitsubishi servers get hacked? What happens if Mitsubishi goes, yeah, we're building planes again and we're not doing any of that sort of stuff? So I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen to that. And knowing that there would be an open API that they'd be forced to do for a product that at least has a lifetime of 15, 20 years, it should be just the law.
Yeah. I mean, the speakers from the 80s and 70s even that are still working. So it would be ridiculous for something that's, you know, 5 or 10 years old to go into landfill.
Criminal.
I also think this is great. And it will make me, if I'm ever in the market for something like this at the price they sell them at, choose Bose. I've always been skeptical of Bose a little bit, but I think this is a good move that I, like Félim said, I wish could be a law.
Yep. Right, well, we better get out of here then. We'll be back next week when who knows what we'll be talking about. But until then, I've been Joe.
I've been Félim.
I've been Graham.
And I've been Will.
See you later.